Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 48 of the Locker Room Life podcast. This is Frank. I'm here with my boys, my brothers, Logan Kuvo, Owen Baker. A lot is amongst us right now. A lot of amazing things are happening. Boys, take it away.
LRL family, the highlight of my weekend was going to Morgantown, West Virginia for the first time ever to the prestigious West Virginia University to watch our co-host Logan Kuvo walk across the stage and officially graduate from college. So snaps for him, and it was very awesome to see. I've known him since I was 15 years old, and for this to come full circle, I'm so proud of you, man, and I know you're going to touch on it a lot, but just to be able to see your element for the last 3 years, LRL family dating back to the earlier episodes, that dorm room, the midst of it, just everything, it was so cool. Congrats, man, and what a weekend.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming. I had a blast. I hope you had a blast.
Of course.
We ate some good food, had a few beverages, hung out. It was just nice to spend some time with my family, the people who were always there. You know, I ghost tagged Frankie in my Instagram post on the other side of me and Bakes. I tagged Frankie there. He was there in spirit. But no, the next step, there's no gap period between an offer letter or anything else. It's just right to it. Full time. My full-time work day was today, and it's been good. It's crazy. I'm so grateful for everyone that listens every single day. You guys are what keep us going. So I love you guys. Thank you.
Brother, we're so proud of you. I mean, what an accomplishment. What a storied college career you had, well documented. But no, I mean, like we say it all the time, everybody out there, LRL, there is an age gap between myself, Logan, and Owen. But in all honesty, these brothers that I have right here, never ever think of them anything but my equals, because these two guys are well above their years in regards to everything, and I feel like that's not always the case, especially nowadays. And, even from the moment that I first spoke with Logan, it was just a no brainer, and we came up with this idea and we tell the story, and we're always going to tell the story. And down the road, when we have this massive documentary about this amazing story, about this amazing platform we're building, we'll tell it again. But it was that day, like I just said, hey, I got this idea, and this idea had been kind of cooking around in our brains separately, and we kind of made it happen. I think this is a culmination of not only his college career, but kind of just an accomplishment within itself, man. Like, enjoy. And I told you that on Saturday. I'm like, enjoy these accomplishments, dude. You live your life so far in advance. We all do, right? And I'm trying to be better at that, just living in the moment. These amazing accomplishments, just enjoy them. Everybody out there, like, you have these accomplishments that you work so hard for. We can't forget to just actually enjoy them. I'm horrible at it. It's the good and the bad of me, but I'm trying to get better, because life has a lot of amazing people, a lot of amazing things that happen, and we just got to stop at some points and just be like, this is pretty cool. We try to do it with everything we're doing also. Brother, love you. So proud of you. In Arizona, it's a cool 85 degrees today, so I'm taking advantage of it. Actually open the window. There you go. See?
Whoa.
Global warming taking us down. I'm excited, boys. Memorial Day weekend. The Zams, my hockey team from California, we're going to partake in a nice little hockey tournament this weekend, a little Memorial Day classic that we do every year. So I'm excited, man. More importantly, just hanging with the boys, getting in some exercise. Hopefully we win. But other than that, looking forward to great people, great friends, having a great weekend. What do you guys got going for the Memorial Day weekend?
Actually, I'm heading to Pennsylvania. I'm going to my baby cousin's baptism, and my Uncle Vinny and Aunt Sabrina are having that, so it's going to be fun. I just saw them this past weekend, but I'm going to be staying at their house for a few days.
You unk.
I know.
Man, it's just crazy hearing that. But yeah, just probably going to get out on the lake and try to enjoy the weather, and it's going to be great.
Bake's going to try to muck another turkey out there so we could just have Thanksgiving dinner in the middle of summer.
You know it.
And boys, I mean, other than that, the playoffs have been insanity. Off the chain, Game 7 tonight as we record this. Montreal, Buffalo. It's just crazy. I mean, just what good hockey. And, oh, and also, sorry to kind of derail, but Frankie, you were watching a show, and me and Bakes were wondering, what's up with this show? There's another new wave of hockey fans coming in from this show. You got to talk about it.
What was the name? What was the name of the show? I was ranting and raving about it. I can't remember the name of the show.
What was it? It's something with campus?
Off campus.
Off campus, yeah.
Okay. I'll be the first to admit, and I know my wife's listening and she'll tell you this, okay? She usually throws on a show. I usually say I don't want to watch it, but I actually stand in the background and chirp it the whole time.
And eat
And
food.
this was no different. I was in the back eating a bowl of cereal and I got drawn in. There's a couple things with shows that depict hockey, all right? You got to tune in for two reasons. They're an absolute joke with just the stunts or the people that they actually have. So you have to tune in to see who they got going and who they got as stunt doubles. But the first couple scenes, I'm like, it wasn't good, but it was believable. So I was like, you know what? I'll tune in.
Interesting.
And you know what? I listen. I'm the first one to admit I'm an honest guy. It was a well cast show. The actors weren't bad, so it kept me watching. And now I'm hooked.
Now you're waiting for the next
It's
episode to come out.
It's fallen a little off the rails, but I'm sticking with it. You know, the hockey has kind of gone a little bit. It's gone in a love story. You know, I'll stick with it. Let me see. But yeah, I was with the boys on the group chat. I was like, off campus. So anybody out there that's going to chirp me about it, that's fine. I'm comfortable to say that when a hockey show comes out, I'll watch it. And as long as the stunts aren't bad, I'll stick with it.
But it's been insane. I mean, Colorado is looking scarier and scarier every single day. And so is Carolina. And that's what I'm saying. I know my predictions have been terrible. Oh my God, guys. They've been so bad. But Carolina, Colorado, Stanley Cup final. And I think Colorado's going to do it.
There's been a lot that's happened. Some things to think about. You know, Carolina's, haven't played a game in almost 2 weeks by the time this round starts, which is going to be pretty crazy. And Vegas with the whole Tortorella not speaking to the media, that fine was unbelievable, especially after they closed out a series and he's like, we got to catch a flight. I don't got time for this. And just ate the second round pick for next year. Yeah, that guy's crazy. And that was funny to see. And fellas, the two best words in hockey, Game 7 tonight, you know, Buffalo and Montreal, the winner goes on to play Carolina. But Logan, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think I got Colorado and Carolina in the final.
I don't like to tell you guys that I told you so, but I'm going to say it again. I told you so. Predicted this a couple episodes back. No, but you know what, boys? Had to give a shout out to the Ducks. Good to see them back. I definitely think the reason why they are back is because they changed those horrible jerseys that they had, but the orange is kicking. They're looking good. They're feeling good. They're playing good. They gave up a good fight. Vegas they had way more firepower. I think there was a couple things that were exposed, a little bit on the defensive end for the Ducks, but I just love to always hear, and this is we talk about all the time, synonymous with how much a Warriors hockey players are. Cutter Gauthier. I mean, Ducks, unquestionable best player through the playoffs, comes out and says that he had a broken vertebrae that he broke like in March. So again, anybody who ever doubts the toughness of a hockey player, check yourself at the door, because you got a soccer player falling down because somebody blew a little bit on his ear. And you know, you have guys that are playing through the playoffs all the time. And we hear it all the time at the end of when teams get knocked out, the laundry list of injuries that everybody has been playing with. But proud to be a hockey player, guys. So Game 7 tonight, Buffalo's got the goat jerseys. And they're wearing the black goat jerseys. Boys, what do you think of those?
They're sick Jays, but I think, boys, either way this goes, I mean, especially if it's Montreal, which I don't think it was going to be, there's 7 games. That's a battle going into a well-rested Carolina. Like, that is a battle. And the last thing I'll say on the playoffs is, can someone get a cap space check on the Vegas Golden Knights? They are the absolute boogeymen. They are loaded, man. Top to bottom. They are so deep of a team. It's actually insane to watch. Like, I don't know if he hasn't had his flashy of years, but like Rasmus Anderson, he was like the best defenseman on the Flames by far. He's like their best player. And now he's just baked into their stacked decor. It's just crazy.
Shout out Pavel Dafuriev. What a playoffs that guy's having. And they found him tucked away in Russia. So Vegas Golden Knights, whatever you're doing, it's working.
Barbashev. Let's talk about him first. The guy is just playoff tested every time the playoff comes around. This guy is an absolute beast. He brings it to another level. Having him on that consistent, scoring and toughness, the guy hits anything that moves. But boys, the scrutiny behind Mitchell Marner, has he not come out this year in a mission? And the goal he scored against the Ducks, you've all seen it. We'll put a couple videos about it up. But the behind the legs, in between the legs, tuck, they're saying it's the best goal in the playoff history. What do you guys think?
I don't know what other one would be, but it was pretty nasty. I'm not gonna lie. It was nasty. They need to be restrained. I'm serious. The Gold Knights need to be restrained. They are they're dogs. They're scary. And Marner is clicking very well in that line too, Bakes. I agree.
They're, already a heavy underdog, which I think they're going to push this series and shock some people. But, Marner, I have to agree, Frankie, that was single handedly the most skilled individual effort I've ever seen on an NHL playoff goal. Maybe not as big to that degree, NHL playoff goals that have happened, but nonetheless, it was unbelievable. Great goal.
You know what I feel is the biggest pusher of these winning teams at this stage of the game is literally the home crowds. Vegas is going to be electric. Colorado is going to be electric. These are the additional pushes that you need at this time of the year to really make it through, because these guys are absolutely gassed right now. They're running on adrenaline and they're running on the energy that the crowd has given them. So these cities that are in it right now, Carolina's electric. I mean, Buffalo, for God's sakes, the best thing that happened in Buffalo in a really long time, electric. Montreal electric, so whoever makes it out of that will probably know by the time this gets released. But Carolina, Colorado, Vegas. So this time of year is when the crowd, so everybody that's out there, it's like, oh, I don't really know if I should cheer. Believe me, these players need it. They need that extra push. So it's going to be interesting, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I came across this video over the weekend and I couldn't help but tell all the boys about it. And I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know if they were laughing. I don't know if it was disappointment. It was a mix of emotions. But for our listeners out there, the Brick Tournament is the most prestigious youth hockey tournament. And when I say youth, these kids are 10 years old. They're 2016s. And let me tell you, there was the biggest bench clearing brawl that I've seen at any level of hockey in the past however many years. And it was before the game, guys. It was before the game even started. And these are parents taking their kids across the world to play in this tournament. And I'm just baffled more than anything. You will see the video. It'll pop up through here. It's insane. And I think the biggest thing to take away from it is, like, first off, the refs. How soft are these refs? Oh my goodness, you will see. But more the accountability portion of these kids are going to go out and then see all these things on social media with where we live right now. They're going to go out and see the bench clearing brawl that they just got in on Instagram for it. So it's just so crazy to me. And I can't imagine if my kid was in it.
Yeah, I played in the Brick back in 2014, and I guess times have changed. But no, that wasn't even the actual tournament. For those who don't know, it takes place in West Edmonton Mall, which is obviously a very, very, very cool experience. But for this to have happened prior to the puck being dropped, I don't know what could have caused this, but I think at this age, you definitely don't want this in hockey at all. But even with social media and parents getting involved, I think that kind of feeds into it in these kids, but there's no place for it at that age and just sets a bad example.
Not going to lie to you guys, we all had the same reaction, kind of laughed, but it is from a stance of youth sports. To me, it's just an expression of the society we live in. We live in a social media age where these kids, not to mention, have a phone at 8 to 10 years old, and they're on Instagram, they're on social media. So it's no surprise. We absorb everything that we see on all levels. You think that these kids aren't seeing fights, bench clearing brawls, like little viral content that we kind of glorify sometimes in the media? Yeah, of course they are. To act it out like that, it's unfortunate, especially for parents. Parents sacrifice to get kids to the next level. Parents sacrifice to actually get them to these tournaments to play every season. And, even on a trip like this, they spent their hard-earned money to get their kids to this tournament. And to have something like that really just put a cloud over the team. And that is what they're remembered for. Because I will be honest with you, I don't even know the result of the two teams that were in it and what actually happened. All I saw from the video was a complete ruckus and a ref trying to wrangle a bunch of bobblehead dolls. It just was complete chaos. It sucks, especially for parents. But I mean, it's tough, man. It's like everybody has a phone. Everybody whips their phone out, taking the video. That's how we saw it. So it's hard to react to certain situations, especially on the ref level. You see a lot of people in the crowd that jumped on the ice were very cognizant of what was going on in the stands to make sure of how many phones were pointed at them, because they wanted to choose their actions wisely. So it sucks. We have so much appreciation for parents sacrifice for their kids to play hockey, but it's just the age we live in.
You're so right, Frankie. And just this last point real quick, it's like, everyone's so just manufactured and designed now to just do something. Oh, a fight's happening. Pull out your phone. Oh, something bad's happening. Pull out your phone. Take a video. It's crazy. And I completely agree with you.
Then you just get on Kalshi and then you can actually bet on it. So we're living in a weird world, guys.
Fellas, groups have utilized private equity banking to dominate the ice rink industry, which displayed volunteer ran youth hockey clubs, which they hiked fees and canceled leases to enforce proprietary league participation. Many locally owned non for profits have been pushed out of these local rinks, where this new conglomerate is basically revamping the way that these ice rinks are ran. And that ultimately introduced a bipartisan act in response to this, and lawmakers introduced the Let Kids Play Act to officially ban private equity firms from youth sports, which eliminates hidden fees and protects families from predatory monopolies. So kind of crazy and a lot to take in there, but what do you guys think?
It's been happening for forever since I was a young kid. Frankie, I don't even. I think it was happening even when you were a young kid as well. My father, and as we say, I literally feel like a broken record. It's a business, and at the end of the day, like great business decisions. I'm not going to sit here and say it's wrong because there's money to be made. There's a market for it, but on the other side of it, that's the reason that hockey is the way it is, and people are getting priced out of it, and families can't afford to play. Families can't afford to get ice time because these huge companies and these huge holdings are just looking for their next return. And don't get me wrong, it's business. It's as crazy as it sounds. Everyone listening, it's literally just how they look at it. They don't look at it as any other way. They don't look at it as they're harming, and stopping families from playing hockey and playing the sport that they love. They just look that they are making a nice return on what they have been able to do. And it's an amazing accomplishment what they've been able to do. But with the act, I think it really allows for these families to protect not only themselves, but also their communities and their rinks. It's something that it's so community driven and it's always there. And it's just nice to see that our government's doing that. I think it's correct thing. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I just hope the rinks, on the other end of it too, I just hope the rinks maintain standards without that constant cash flow, that line of credit that is provided by these big conglomerates of these companies.
Like we were talking about, guys, this is a tough one for us. There's two sides of this story where you can break it up into one part is the sympathetic side as hockey players, the product of hockey parents, being part of that ecosystem of we know the ins and outs of it, right? And we know the struggles, we know what our parents did for us, we know the sacrifices that were made that hockey parents make every day. We've made it absolutely clear that one of our missions with this platform is to make the game more accessible, but more importantly, more affordable for parents and to keep kids playing so that they can reach their potential. It's been a known fact, this was something that was happening on a level that was pretty high commercialized was happening in Dallas with the Stars. They had purchased via some investors, monopolized the minor hockey system, which wasn't sitting well with a lot of people. And I think that had maybe perked some ears and some eyes into some other groups being intertwined into some other acquisitions of the same thing. The other side of it is, like Logan said, hockey is a business. Youth sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry and growing. So with growth, and just hear me out for a sec, guys, like with growth comes sacrifice, and a lot of that sacrifice and growth and exposure, you need money, right? Youth sports, more facilities. More kids are playing, you need more facilities. You need more tournaments. You need more opportunities for them to play and for them to be able to show their potential. It's hard because a lot of that monopolization is happening via those channels to ironically help the player reach their potential to the highest level. So there is no right answer to it. I think it's going to continuously keep happening, but I do like the federal government stepping in because at least they're saying, look, I know this is going to happen, but don't let it happen at the expense of these kids not being able to actually grow and actually experience the sport. That's it. Everything else from a business standpoint, private equity is always going to work their way into it because
It's private
organizations just oh yeah, but youth sports, man, that's like there's no money. A lot of these amazing people that are coaches are volunteers. And anybody out there who's an amazing youth coach, an advisor, somebody that's helping out, look around and be very thankful, kids, because these people have day jobs. They're helping you out of the goodness of their heart. And I had a lot of amazing people. And when you're young, you're like, oh, this guy's like, he's a coach. And this guy, oh, he's a jerk and this stuff like that. It's like, I mean, these people are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But we've also, on that side of the coin, had a lot of amazing people that have kind of reshaped our lives and being able to kind of mold us into the people we are today. So it's tough. This is a tough one for me because it's hard because, like we were saying before, to make an omelet, you have to break some eggs. And with that comes some experimental things that happen on the financial level because you have to have an injection of finances in order to push some programs forward, in order to push the exposure forward. And especially now with hockey and youth sports being such a global uniting force between kids that are coming from all over the world to either play in America or vice versa. It's hard, but I do love this act. At least add some guardrails in. Let these kids be able to grow. Let them be able to have a chance. And that's all we're saying. Boys, all I got to say is one thing. Cha-ching. University of Michigan football team, their athletic program got a huge win. Their endowment invested $20 million of their money into OpenAI, and it turned into $210 million. So to say that they're ecstatic about their investment, it's an understatement. But it just makes you think, guys. This money that is supposed to be going to youth athletics is being invested and also handled by firms that are helping the schools, the programs make a lot more money on the back end. So, what do you guys think about it?
Well, that goes to show that it happens on the NARP side, non-athletic regular person, that most of the endowment, even for people who aren't athletes, is tied up in stocks somewhere or tied up in an investment somewhere that they're trying to get more endowment, it's like the chicken and the egg. They're trying to get more endowment, but they need this money to come from the students and the donors and all these people to keep the university running and to keep it all turning. It's so crazy to me, but how smart on University of Michigan to do that. I think it shows where the times are right now. It really is crazy because I can guarantee you that wasn't happening. Frankie, you could probably put a number on it. What do you think? Probably 10, 20 years ago, that was not happening. Athletic departments were not even coming close to make that decision, but they have to. It's, an open sea of sharks out there. They have to compete, and adding in an extra 200 and 190 million off of their investment, they can bring in many, many people because, as we say all the time, where the money is, the players follow.
It's just crazy to see. Michigan has always been notorious for being one of those trendsetter programs, not just athletically, but academically. And I'm just curious to see what they're going to do with all this money. And it's kind of ironic just to think, as far as university wide standard, AI is not acceptable as far as using your schoolwork, and then they're going to donate all this money and pump it back into the school. So on that side of things, it's kind of ironic, but Michigan, another trend set, and I'm sure they're not going to be the last to invest in this.
And one more point on this, boys. This is similar, and everybody knows this. It's similar to retirement, right? Like we invest into a little bit, everybody that's working invests into their own retirement, right? There's firms behind the scenes that are actually investing this money to help us, obviously, with all these retirement funds, hopefully put it into, at least some lucrative funds that actually helps the money grow over time, right? We live in an NIL era where the contracts are getting bigger and bigger every year, and especially at a school like Michigan. So when we say, well, do you really need the money or where's the money really going? I think a lot of it is going to be going to NIL, future program growth. There's a lot of things in college sports we already know, and we've talked about it multiple times. College sports are now going to become their own media studios. So there's a lot of bills to be paid. Will this money help? Of course it will, but it's also the times we're living in, guys. College sports is a multi-billion-dollar, soon-to-be trillion-dollar business. So this is just another way for them to pay the bills. LRL family, we have an amazing interview this week. Andrew Alberts, Hockey Development Director for Sense Arena. You guys know them for being the leader in the VR headsets that you see everywhere. And their partnerships with the NHL are very widely commercialized, but it was amazing. He was an NHL veteran, able to tell his story as a player and all the amazing things he did to help Sense Arena kind of reach the amazing heights that they're reaching now with the NHL.
Not only is Sense Arena sick, it's absolutely awesome. Andrew has an amazing story from not even thinking that he was going to play college hockey to have an amazing NHL career. It's just awesome. And, the things with Sense Arena, and they've been the leader in the VR technology and the VR training world for forever now. They were the innovators in that. And it's just really cool to see, kind of behind the scenes and what they're doing, what they're building, the successes that they've had it doesn't surprise me. Their team is amazing. Shout out Sense.
Yeah, it's always nice talking to someone who's a Waterloo alum. Shout out to Andrew for not only a very successful NHL career, but as far as the Sense Arena side of things, it's just changing the way that hockey players train. And it's more along the hockey IQ side of things, which is really cool to see. And if anyone has not had the chance to use their technology or try it out, I highly advise. So I had the opportunity to use it multiple times, and it's such a cool way to train. I mean, it's really just a video game in hindsight, and you're not even thinking about the things you're working on in your game for what's to come. It's awesome.
LRL family, enjoy. Andrew Alberts. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NHL, has a new customer offer. When the ice gets coldest, the best players in the world show you who they are.
Playoff warriors turn it up round by round, and DraftKings turns it up with them from the first round all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Bet player props, bet live from the opening faceoff to the final horn. Every moment matters. New DraftKings customers bet just $5 and you'll get $100 in bonus bets instantly.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN so you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN. Turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Locker Room Life podcast. Honored to have our next guest, Andrew Alberts, Director of Hockey Development for Sense Arena, the leader in virtual hockey development. Super excited to have him on and tell us everything that's going on.
No, I appreciate you guys having me and interested to dive into the hockey questions you guys have and the development we have with tech. So excited to pound away the questions, guys. Let me know.
We'll dive into everything exciting with Sense Arena, but, kind of wanted to talk about your hockey story, your path, and you played some very meaningful hockey through the course of your time. So kind of take us through that.
Grew up in Minnesota, the hockey hotbed of Minnesota. I like to think we're above the rest, but there's different development models out there. But I was lucky enough to play the Minnesota hockey development model. And you guys know this because you mentioned you were just in Minnesota, but like the model there is so much different than anywhere else. And it's the cat's out of the bag everywhere else with club teams and AAA teams and the money in the rinks. So I was lucky enough to play in that model. And for me, it's for those who don't know, it's from bottom up, right? So mites, squirts, peewees, bantams, you're following that trend of the high school and the town hockey moving up. So the high school coach has an idea of who's coming up through all the younger programs. But for me, I was lucky enough to follow. I had three uncles that played D1 hockey, so I grew up watching them. And the North Stars, for those of you that are old enough to remember the North Stars, Logan, I don't know, Frank, I don't know. So I grew up watching the North Stars. Mike Modano as a rookie flying around, his jersey fluttering in the wind behind him. He was my guy growing up. And so I emulated to be like those guys, right? So I grew up in Eden Prairie, played minor hockey there, played I was a B player, played Pee Wee A, was probably the top youth team I played on, but mostly just played on middle of the pack teams, B1, B2 teams, nothing crazy. As we moved into the higher levels, I was a late bloomer. All my other buddies were sprouting up and growing and getting faster and bigger and stronger. And I was a late bloomer. So trying out for high school as a sophomore, we went out the first day for high school. This is at Eden Prairie. So big high school, 3,000 kids. There's 80 kids trying out for 10 spots on the varsity team that are open, right? First day, they cut a bunch of us saying, hey, you guys are a little bit raw, too young, move down to the JV tryout next week, which is kind of expected at that age, being a 14-year-old, 15-year-old. I went out to JV tryouts, 2 days in, too slow, don't shoot hard enough, etc. I'm like, all right, career crushed. Basically telling you that you're not going to play high school hockey, right? And you're not right for our program. Why don't you go try to play midget hockey for the rest of your career? And so I'm devastated as a kid who grew up watching the Eagles and going to high school games Friday nights and seeing your buddies still playing at that JV level. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I'll go play midget A or junior gold with some buddies that are older in my neighborhood. It'd be cool to be on those guys' team. Went out junior gold tryouts, got cut from that. And I'm like, all right, well, what's going on here? Like, what am I doing wrong? Where's, I think I'm as good as these guys. Obviously, the coaches didn't think so. Tried out for the midget team, got cut from that. And then I was just like really taken back where I really thought hockey was something I was decent at the time, but obviously coaches think otherwise. And the game that I'm providing on the ice is not the quality of what people are looking for. And so finally didn't make any team and ended up playing house hockey. So midget B, we had 2 teams in midget B, which is like bottom of the barrel kids that just started playing last year. And then I find myself who've been playing since I was like 4. And so very frustrating and the hardest thing that I got through at that point in my life. But looking back now, it's just almost like you call it like your favorite failure, right? Where it's like you were so bad and you were so down, but it was actually probably the best thing that ever happened to me because I had so much fun that year playing hockey with like no politics. My parents were like, yeah, go have fun, don't care. Got to play with buddies from my neighborhood that I hadn't played with because they were a couple years older. And I had so much fun playing hockey that year. It almost like stoked the flame a bit, right? Like to get back into it. And so sorry, this long-winded guys still going here, but so that summer, my parents would ask, "Hey, did you want to go to a different school just for schooling reasons and help you out with college?" And I had a couple cousins that had gone to Benilde St. Margaret's, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Minnesota hockey, but Benilde is a very strong hockey school, and so I transferred schools just for the schooling purpose and academics. I tried out there for the JV team, and are you guys familiar with Jack Blatherwick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jack Blatherwick, way before his time. For those who don't know listening, he was Herb Brooks' right-hand man, on-ice, off-ice training, overspeed training, way before his time, doing stuff the Russians were doing back in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So Jack was a trainer for the U.S. Olympic team, University of Minnesota. And so he, as a guy that doesn't like the spotlight, came to be the assistant coach with Ken Pauley, who was the head coach at Benilde St. Margaret's. And so once Jack saw me, he's like, hey, you got a mind for hockey. Like, we're going to have you on varsity. I just about crap my pants. Like, what are you guys talking about playing varsity? I'm trying to like make JV here. It was great for me to get that opportunity to get on the ice for a team that wasn't very good. They got rid of a lot of seniors and juniors. They're trying to clean house. A lot of new kids came in. I had an okay year, my junior year. And then that summer, I remember Jack grabbed me and said, hey, do you want to play in the NHL? And I'm just like who is this guy? To me to play in the NHL? Like I just got cut house hockey my sophomore year. Played varsity hockey as a 4th, 5th defenseman my junior year, and now he's asking me if I want to play in the NHL, and I'm like, well, yeah, like everyone's playing the NHL, and he's like, no, like, do you want to play in the NHL? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, if you do everything I say this off season, and you put on 30 pounds, and you do this, and you train, and forget about all the noise on the outside, like, we're going to put you on your road. And I'm like, I put all my eggs in his basket. Like, if anybody ever tells you that, like, you're just going to go all in. And that's all I could think about. And so from that day on, it was every day after school, hour squats, workouts, whatever he told me to do, I was doing it on ice, off ice, all summer long. I completely bought in, and it didn't make me a great player. It made me a better player because now I was 5'8" my sophomore year, and now I was 6'3", $170, $180 going into my senior year. 6'3", 200 pounds. So very big difference and change. So it's just trying to figure out how to get my feet, move properly. But my mind was always there, and that's what he liked about it. He's like, you can think the game, and that's the thing. Like, you can always build around a player. So if you can think the game, and that's where like the cognitive part of development and learning and watching hockey, it really pays off, because if you can think the game, you can always build around the physical aspect of it. To continue here, I've been working out with Jack my whole career in the off seasons, and I just kept continuing to progress physically, not recruited by really colleges anywhere. And so Waterloo Blackhawks asked me if I want to come down and try out USHL. I was like, yeah, I'll come down and try out. Applied to St. Thomas just to go there for school, got accepted. So I was weighing my options, but I was like, hey, what's another year trying to play hockey? And so went down, tried out in June, came back for the tryout in July, came back for the tryout in August. As you guys know, these are money grabs, but I had to do it. So made the team, didn't play a game till after Thanksgiving, which I was about to quit hockey at that point because I was like, this is just ridiculous. Playing, and this is old school, like, 4 hours a day in the off season, 2 hours on the ice and 2 hours off the ice. And then, for weeks, week on end. And so once we got a new coach in juniors, I started playing better at Waterloo. I had a good end of the year, had a great start to the next year, went and go play Top Prospects tournament. BC saw me play there. I had 2 goals in my first game, and I don't score goals, so it was kind of meant to be, I guess. Made some great plays, had some big hits, and then Jerry York came out and said, "Hey, do you want to play at BC for us next year?" It was kind of like a whirlwind of those 3-4 years there, and then I ended up at BC. So that's kind of like the ascent to BC, if you will, and it's kind of crazy. Sorry, I know I've been talking for a while, but that was kind of like the long story of how it happened.
What an amazing story. And it's like, this is why we do this. This is why we have this platform for, kids who listen to this and they just got cut from their AAA team. And you, Andrew, you had a very successful NHL career playing midget B. I want to hear about it now, selfishly. Talk about the NHL, talk about pros, talk about almost 500 games played in the National Hockey League, which is, amazing.
So the NHL, as much as it's your dream, right? So your dream's here, and you ascend to get there, and you get there, and then you're like, holy shit, these guys are fucking good, right? But then you're also like, holy shit, this is a business, because you see guys getting traded and moved and up and down, and management doesn't really care that much about you. Like, you're a piece of meat, right? Just to take you guys back, like, this is like 20 years ago, right? 2005, 2006 is when I entered the league. And so management, communication, coaching is very different now. There's a lot more communication with coaches and players and teaching different perspectives and systems and skill development than it was when I came into the league. And I think it's much better now, obviously, because you see the skill and the play of these guys and the teams and the speed and the systems and the way the game is played. But as an individual coming into the NHL, coming from a college where Jerry York was fantastic and his staff was fantastic of building professionals to move up to the next level, the transition, it was great. So it was actually, I was lucky where I jumped into the AHL because it was a lockout year. And so that year you had Bergie was down there because he was on an entry level deal. We had, Andy Hilbert, we had a Coiner, we had that whole league had so many great players because the guys on entry level deals could play down. So that was, the best league in the world at that point. So jumping into them or into there for the playoffs after we'd lost in the regional was great for me to get to 20 games, and then conference finals lost to Philly, but still another 30 games or so that I had to adjust and transition to NHL speed. But as you get to the NHL, it's so much on the individual and the mindset. And what you learn is that as much as it's physical, it's almost more so up here, right? It's what's between the ears. It's the mental strength to get over an error and continue. It's the mental strength to do what you don't want to do, to prepare for the next game, prepare for the next shift. In the off season, what sacrifices are you making to be better the next year, or work on a skill, or do something the guy that across from you isn't doing? And that's kind of the difference where you get from the AHL guys that want to jump up to the NHL. If you can't mentally transition to what needs to be done for your role at the NHL level, you're just not going to succeed. So that's why I think you see those guys at the AHL level that have all the points. They're great offensively, but when they move up to the next level, it's just they're a second too slow, or they can't adjust to playing the defensive side of the game or the position wise. And so when I talk about the NHL, like that's, I think, the biggest thing of when transitioning to the NHL is being able to adapt to what's going on around you, the team you're playing for, but then mentally, like, knowing the game, understanding the game, who's on the ice, what their skill level is, how you're playing against them, what their tendencies are. So there's a lot to take in. I was surrounded with some great teammates and great coaches. That transition for me was a lot of hard work. I didn't have a lot of skill, but a lot of hard work and a strong mental approach to the game will take you a long way.
It's a really good point. And, I have so many questions, but I know you mentioned playing for Waterloo, which I played there as well. So it's just nice to talk to another alum. But you played almost 500 games in the NHL. You had an amazing career getting to play for Team USA. When it was all said and done, when did you kind of know, when did Sense Arena get involved, and how did you know you wanted to go into that? I know you spent a little bit of time broadcasting as well.
Yeah. It's funnier to play at Waterloo. That's awesome, man. Great bar,
Party
right?
town.
Oh, it's unreal. Party town.
Yeah, party town.
I love it.
Party town. Yeah. So when I finished up, to answer your last question, I did a little bit of broadcasting and analyst work, and it's a completely different, I guess, viewpoint of what's going on. Because it's like, yes, you're talking about the game, but you're also trying to give a teaching point to the audience, and it's like quick, right? And you need to think of something quick and spit it out, and then move on to the next topic. So I didn't love it. It was fun, but like, I'd rather have a hockey conversation like what we're doing here, or grab a couple cold ones and discuss a play or the game, what's going on, and then you talk about it. That's why I love like TNT. Like they take a topic and they discuss it for 2 or 3 minutes. Like it's not just like a boom, 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 boom. So the analysts work very different, but it was cool to see that side of the game, the media, and how they do it, and you really understand the production that goes behind putting a game together. So a lot of hard work on that end. And then your second question was
just the origin of Sense Arena.
Yes, I got out of broadcasting, and so Brian DeCord, I'm not sure if you guys know that name or not. He's goalie development coach for the Red Wings right now, or oversees the goalie department. And his son Joey DeCord obviously plays with the Kraken. He owns Stop It Goaltending. I think it's probably one of the biggest goalie. They have a Bridge Academy here, and they have licensees all over the East Coast into Chicago now. So huge into goalie development. And so I knew Brian just through like medical, like concussion stuff that I had retired due to concussions, and he had concussion stuff himself. And so we had just met through a mutual friend to talk about therapies and whatnot and what works for each other. And then a couple years later, he gave me a buzz and said, "Hey, we're working on some VR hockey. It's called Sense Arena. We'd love to have you come down and check it out." And so I got the message on my phone, and I went online and I looked up NHL Sense Arena. And I think I sent you guys some of the clips, did I not?
Yeah. Those were awesome. The original videos. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you go online and you see these pylons passing a black puck to an area onto a goalie that's like a triangle. And I'm just like, I'm thinking like, what is this? Like, I'm trying to understand what this is. And so he's like, you know what, just come down, get the headset on, check it out. And so I went down there, went to Stop It in Woburn, put the headset on. And the first drill they put me in is just a monkey in the middle. So I'm sure you guys are familiar. Like it's two guys on the circle. We're just spread around the circle. There's one guy in the middle, and we're just passing the puck around. And so I've never been in VR. You get in VR and you look around, and they had created Madison Square Garden, which is really cool. So the sights you see, the sounds you hear, the puck off the boards, off the stick, off the goalie, we try to make it as lifelike as possible. And so the drill is you're just trying to move the puck away from the guy in the middle, right? So it starts with the puck. It's a virtual puck with a physical stick. And so there's no weight to a puck. So you're still trying to acclimate to what the puck feels like on your blade. And so you're just moving the puck around, but it's interactive, right? Like it's reading off of you, you're reading off of it. The AI intelligence is reading off your deception, where you're looking. So it was very high tech for the time, and it still continues to be, obviously. And so I saw that drill. I'm like, okay, I can see there's something here, right? And so I said, well, I need to get into a game situation. Do you guys have game situations so I can really vet this out? And so the next drill we do is a shoulder check drill. So if you can imagine a puck being tossed into a corner or dumped into a corner, I'm the first D on the puck. And so the drill starts by me facing the glass. I'm 2 or 3 feet from the puck and the glass. The drill forces you to shoulder check left or right. And once I shoulder check, as you guys know, it's for information, right? So I'm shoulder checking for information. So when I look to my left, I see one player coming down for the boards. I see my center starting to come down an angle for a low and slow breakout. I see my other D. I turn this way. My other D's hopping behind the net for a D-to-D pass. And the winger's occupying the slot looking for a rim play or whatever happens. And each player had different colors on their sticks. And so when you look back to the glass, color shows up, pink color. I remembered what color was on the stick. I need to look back, whichever way it was, find the guy with the right color of stick and pass to him. So I'm like, all right, I get that. That's like, I can see where this is going. The next progression of that is then it's a real game, right? So I have my offensive players, no colors, and I have the forechecking team as obviously an away team or whatever it might be. And so the same drill happens. I look, I notice my teammates coming, where they're going, where's the offense going, where the opposition's going, and I'm just making a straight breakout. So you fake left, go right, see my center swinging low, give him a pass. I'm like, all right, now we got something here. Like, this is really cool because now I know that we can create drills at different scenarios on the ice and get the mental reps that a player needs to progress through different scenarios, step by step by step, to learn the process of breaking out, which I consider hockey IQ is some of it innate, possibly, but I think a lot of it is just experiencing through rep after rep after rep. They call it the 10,000 reps, whatever it might be. But if I can experience as many situations as possible in scenarios with different forecheckers, different handed forecheckers, two forecheckers, different guys covering different wings, stuff that doesn't happen during a game, or that doesn't normally happen during a game, but might happen every now and then. Can I go through all these reps that put me through different scenarios so that when I get into the game, my mind's already working at a top speed to create the execution. And that's kind of the idea. And so when I saw that, I was like, all right, this is awesome. This is all in. Show me what else you got. And like, we have offensive stuff and neutral zone stuff and neutral zone breakouts. That's how I kind of got into it. It fit into my mindset of hockey and like teaching development. And I have young kids that are in hockey. And so like that becomes a part of it. Like I'm helping them on the ice. I'm like, all right, well, how can I use this in sensory to show other young kids how to develop? So that's kind of how I got into sensory. And it's just, it continues to grow as we keep going here and getting better and better.
I think on a lot of different levels, especially because you touched on repetition is the best form of education, right? And especially as players, the biggest thing is there's certain things that we do, and that's especially somebody that played in the NHL, such as yourself, because of the fact that you're doing things so many times, they become second nature to you. That's what every time we watch an NHL hockey game, those are the small details that you can tell. It's the small rim plays, like the catches of passing that is in their feet, but it's just one motion, but a lot of that is repetition. So being able to put players through those scenarios and just be able to have that muscle memory is such a huge thing. That's why we forget about that as players, like how that's such a big piece of it, because when you're in the game, you're part of the emotional side of it, right? Like the crowd, everything else mentally that you're dealing with, but being able to kind of train these skills to where you're like, I've seen this before. I've done this before. Trust your abilities to kind of react in those situations. That's amazing. That's why when, Sense Arena first came out, it was before its time, right? Because you're being able to really dive into that aspect of building your mind over just the physical, because a lot of everything is like, well, you got to go out there and train with skills coaches and everything. And don't get me wrong, that gets you, to where you want to go and hone those skills. But the mental part of it too, that's such just making that connection. It's really proving and really evolving just the thought process. My next question was going to be on the evolution of sensory. And like, how do you guys think about it in a think tank of like, what are better ways to kind of evolve the system that you guys have created already?
Great question. So we've got some exciting stuff coming up. I'll give you guys a little preview. I think I'm allowed to do that. But I'll take a step back. I want to touch on just the goalie platform and the evolution that has had first. And I'll touch on where we're going with that too, because for the goalies, we created that first because it's much easier to have a platform come to you in VR as opposed to a player seeking out a different play or movement based on 9 other factors moving around. And so thus the goalie platform came up first. It's a little more polished. We've got more HD video drills that we record NHLers, NCAA players, PWHL. So it's all age appropriate stuff for goaltenders. But that went from simple reps into video drills of, like I said, real players coming down, so goalies can read the shot, read the release, read the shoulder angle, the shin pad angle, that sort of thing. And we just released less than a year ago is the goalie flow, where we've recorded in zone 3-on-2s and 3-on-3s and 3-on-1s, which is cool for a goaltender because now we've created a continuous play option. So if it's off-season training or a backup goaltender who doesn't get the constant reps, they can hop in and take a 30-second in-zone shift, right? Where the rebound goes to the corner and we pass it right back into a new video drill with more reps. And so that's a really cool progression that a lot of goaltenders have taken, and actually backup goaltenders, because they need the reps that they're not getting that the starters are getting in practice. And then we just continue to build that out, the goalie platform. And then for the players, we've added a mixed reality. So if you guys are familiar with that, or I can explain it. So
no, yeah, lovely to explain.
If I put on the headset, I will see the cameras on the outside will see everything in front of me, right? And so what we've done is we overlay virtual objects in front of that. So you've probably seen Pavel Barber or whoever else stick handling through virtual objects coming at him. From that, we can then take other animated figures moving around where you need to protect the puck from them, and you're still scanning and identifying time and space and analyzing how much space I have or where the attack's coming from, so I can turn my body and shield the puck. So different ways to use mixed reality as well, because then you have a physical puck, physical stick, as opposed to the virtual puck. And so that's been a huge bonus for us. Tons of growth on the player side because we now incorporate that physical puck with physical stick handling, which kids love to do. But we're also forcing you to keep your head up, right? So we'll ask you math questions or different colors that you need to yell out or move the puck to a certain area, so that you have to keep your head up when stick handling. Our next evolution that we're trying to bring for the fall here is more of a hockey IQ game, if you will, where you are moved around the ice and you're just using controllers. So we've taken the stick away, we've taken the puck away, we've taken away the exterior barriers, and we're just trying to use the head, where we're positioning you around the ice and a confrontation will appear or happens, and you need to be able to continually analyze the play as you're moving around the ice and pick, hey, where's the next best option? Is it off the glass? Is it a pass to an area? Is it a shot on net? Whatever it might be. But before that play, you always have to scan, pre-scan, analyze time and space, understand your surroundings, where your teammates are. And so that's kind of our next evolution, where it's almost like, what do they call for storybooks? Like create your own adventure, if you will.
Yeah.
Because
Choose
there's
your own adventure, yeah.
that we can create with AI and whatnot. So we're really looking forward to that as a really IQ builder that, hey, we might stop the play in the middle and ask you and make all the players clear and be like, hey, what player's on your team? Can you pick your player? And what handed is he? And what direction is he going? Because these are all the things that run through your mind as you are moving the puck up the ice. So we really want to keep challenging players with the cognitive part of the game.
I think within the brain and the thinking aspect of the game, I mean, my father had me on the USA Hockey IntelliGym when I was based. Can tell you some funny stories about that. Was there a point at the beginning stages of like a turning point when you were like, wow, this is really gonna take off to where it is now?
When I think of like the cognitive game, like I go back to when I was a kid, and it was like I watched a lot of hockey, played a lot of like pond hockey and that sort of thing. And so we try to create, and Frank could touch on it too, though. In the platform, it's repetitions are huge, right? And so we only get so many reps at practices. And like, are they really high intensity game reps? Like, yes and no, right? You get a little bit of both. And so moving into the platform, I think of like the small skills that make the biggest difference. So that might be a shoulder check, right? And that might be just looking your head up and scanning or pre-scanning to know what you're doing before the puck gets to your stick. Like those are the small things that help you make an efficient player be a fast player, right? And it's a decision making. So if we can increase your decision making speed, and whether that's with your peripheral vision, your hand-eye coordination, whatever it might be, you're looking for that 1 to 2 to 3% to increase and enhance your abilities. And so either goaltenders, a fraction of a second makes a huge difference making a save, right? Same thing for players. If you lift your head up and you understand what's coming at you, it slows down in your mind, right? Like I know my lefty's open, so I looked, it's there, the puck's coming, I know what I'm doing, you make the play. And so I think focusing on the small skills in development is a big piece of creating a player that is going to be efficient on the ice. And so that's the other thing. Like these skills translate. Like it's just your brain. Like it all translates. You put the headset on, you're in a rink, like you're on the ice. It's muscle memory. You're doing it all, right? So that's where I think even from 9-year-olds to 18 is our sweet spot. But even Frank mentioned it's the simple reps. NHL practice, we still do simple reps where the coach dumps the puck in and he just gives you a look one way or the other. And all you're doing is shoulder checking and you're going up, give the pass to your buddy, he goes in. It's simple stuff, but it's repetition that just keeps you sharp mentally. And again, the more reps, every scenario you can possibly do, it's just going to give you that much more reassurance in what you're going to do and the actions you're going to take when you get in that instance of the game.
And, growing up in Detroit, there's always a buzz when Sense Arena came out and like who could get their hands on it. So I actually had the pleasure of being able to screw around with it early on. And like you kind of said, I can't emphasize it enough about the cognitive side of things and just being able to get different kind of training in. So, not even just where it's just the hockey, but anything that involved the cognitive side of things was super helpful for me. My next question would be just in the current state of Sense Arena, how cool is it just to see the growth of it and where it's gone at this point to, all stages of hockey?
No, good question. And I'll quickly touch on like the cognitive piece of it. And I don't know if you guys know this. Owen, you might know this, but like we have a strictly cognitive piece too, where it doesn't involve hockey and it's more about proprioception and using your peripheral or using selective reflex or mirrored reflex so that you're really training your brain in different ways. And that's always just an extended benefit to not just hockey, but any sport. Or if you're sick of holding a hockey stick, you can go in there and still improve your cognitive senses. So that's another bonus of our platform. But also, so going back to your question, Owen, sorry, you're talking about the cognitive platform, right?
Yeah, and just where Sense Arena is as a whole just now.
Yeah, where we're going.
Yep.
And how it's grown. When you look at the goalie platform is like I kind of separate the goalie platform from the player platform, where our goaltender platform, it's easier to have a system come to you. And so we've reached out to the NHL guys and they've reached out to us. And so it's really grown on the goalie platform because it's hard to get shooters. It's hard to get guys to stand in front of the screen, right? We put screens in and whatnot. Goalies are accepted to be a little bit different. So when you see a goalie with a headset on before a game, priming his brain in the corner, like people are like, Yeah, it makes sense. It's Jimmy. It makes sense, right? And so the goalie platform has exploded and it's awesome. And so that continues to roll. And we just keep rolling out new content, new drills, new trainings. We try to work with other coaches as well to give a different perspective, right? And then as a player side, as we brought in the mixed reality with the physical puck, physical skill, that's bolstered the player side. But also I think like our ability to get in with younger players and youth groups that are going to be on a screen or on their phones or on an iPad, they will be in a headset. And we try to mix in a little bit entertainment and gamesmanship, or I guess like gaminess, if you will, to the drills. So it doesn't feel like you're training. And that's the beauty of it. So like if kids can go in there and they can make a scan and make a play and understand the time and space to make the right pass and the guy scores, like the score is the cherry on top. Like we've already forced you to make a decision. So we've done our job and we got to keep you in the platform with a cool pass or a cool celebration or whatever it might be. And so the progression of the platform is, as we keep moving, is it's got to be entertaining. We know we can control the aspect of the decision making, but if we can keep it entertaining, it will keep those young kids in it. And as they continue to grow and develop, the different levels that we have will continue to challenge them at the same rate mentally is what's going to be on the ice. And so that's kind of the beauty of the products, that you can use it for however many years you continue to grow, and you can keep the difficulty up and keep challenging your brain to move faster and faster. So the decision making speed keeps increasing, if that makes sense.
Andrew, I played back in the old school days. I actually played goalie as well. I played in the USHL a long time, about the time of a little bit before you as well. But if I had this, maybe things would have been different for me. No, I'm just kidding. I still would have been a plug, but I definitely feel like the biggest thing about this program as well is, like we talked about, having players confidence is such a huge part of their game, right? And being able to be confident in their skills in crucial moments. And this is where I feel like a tool like this, as it accelerates and grows, is being able to keep a player's emotional stress down during hockey, because at those crucial moments when you have to make a play, that's what separates. You could voice this more than I can, but that's the difference between players that make it to the higher levels and even the peak level that you made it to. It's those minute differences to make plays in the most crucial moments. And I feel like this tool is going to be something that the younger generation, and training the muscle memory and having the muscle memory at this young age, it's going to help them, as they accelerate and kind of climb the ladder. But I did have more of a generational question for you. What are you seeing with this younger generation? Because it's such a young generation. Of back in our day, it's just different. It's a different time we're living in, from like these kids in social media and tech and even just overall hockey skills, right? Like we're living in this Michigan type world, and kids are doing some different things. The skill level's out of control. But what are you seeing like with this new generation that you feel like Sense Arena can really hone in on?
Great question. And I touched on it a little bit before with the skill development and the speed. You remind me of, I did this test with my Pee Wee group this year. Right? We had 13 kids on the ice, and as the coach and I were just talking, I was like, I'm gonna do a test. And so I threw one puck down one end. I'm like, all right, guys, go play. And they all went down there, stood around. One kid's got the puck playing key play or something with the other guy. And the other guys are just like standing there, like playing grab ass, like doing nothing. Back in the day, like we would have grabbed the puck, put all our sticks in the middle. Somebody would go in there, their eyes closed, make teams. You just play like you play shit, right? And so these kids, like we've controlled these kids with like, and I'm just as bad as other parents, where like they're all scheduled, right? And there's so much direction and structure in their lives that they're waiting to be told what to do. And so I think we've gotten the fact of, hey, like you need to stick handle, you need to shoot, you need to go to your shooting coach, you need to go to your stick handling coach. Well, we want to be hey, go to your cognitive. So cognitive is kind of like a stigma, like where people are like, like what's that? It's like hockey IQ is a much better term. So like, can we build that hockey IQ with game reps? Like where else are you going to get game reps in a game? Well, practice, you can get some reps, but like if you want to get 10 times more reps, you need to find a way to do it. And going to find 5 buddies and renting a sheet of ice for $350 and getting a coach and a goalie, like it's not always doable. Yep. And so now in your basement, in your garage, you can go through all these game situations. Do I want to work on neutral zone transitions? Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. I can go do 1 million of these drills, and they're all going to be different with the AI, the different routes and whatnot that we put into the system. Do I want to pick pucks off the boards? Yeah, like let's do it. Winger to center. I can do this all day long. Shoulder checks, neutral zone, defensive zone, even in the offensive zone, shoulder checking to find who's available. These are all game scenarios that happen tens of hundreds of times between all the players on the ice. and you're going to use these skills every single time you step on the ice. And so we want to recreate as much as we can and keep adding new drills and new scenarios and new environments as well. Like whether it's an outdoor rink or a different rink or a loud rink, or you talked about, Frank, you brought up the emotional part of it. We can turn off all the noise, so it's just the radio and you, or just you on the ice, so that there's no other outside noise. Like you're focusing on your skill and building up your confidence. And so we think we can provide that. We know we can provide it. We are providing it. It's just about getting more kids in the headset and understanding what's going on. And so a lot of it is actually educating the parents too. Like, hey, like instead of sending your kid to a camp for $800, like $300 for the year, and you get coaching tips and drills and scenarios that they can do all year long to continue to benefit and enhance their game.
I think on the other side of that too, hockey is such a traditional sport. We are creatures of habit. We are stuck in our ways. Was there any issues or roadblocks trying to bring VR, a new thing, into the sport of hockey?
Yeah, there's always going to be a question about it first. I think it's helped out that our goalie platform came out first because, like I said, those guys are kind of like a little bit different, right? And so it's like, it's okay. Like, hey, like look at Johnny over there, a little goofball, like, using a headset. What's he doing? But then you get these NHL guys that are using it and talking about it and the benefits, getting primed before games. And that's had a huge trickle down effect. And I think I see kids all over here, like in my Pee Wee group or my mites or the squirts I coach. Like I'll see a kid in the hallway putting that headset on to prime his brain, get ready, because he's only got 2 minutes of warm ups, and every puck's coming next to his ears, right? So he wants to get his eyes locked in on what he's seeing. Right. And so that's been great. So the player product, we're trying to do the same thing. Right. So because we've launched the Dangle Pro, I think that's going to continue to build into our VR platform, into the more cognitive drills and in the game scenario drills. But yet we still try to build game scenario drills into that Dangle Pro that has a physical puck, physical stick. So there are some barriers, right? The cost can be a barrier, the headset, the cost, and the technical aspect of it. The way we see it is like you get a full year of training for fraction of a cost of one hockey camp for a week during the summer, right? And you can continue to build all your skills in all three zones and different scenarios. And so we think that's a huge value, and we want to keep bolstering that. But yes, there are some barriers with a headset, or even like you said, like hockey in general, it's a very traditional game. But I think hockey players are growing in a sense that they want to seek out what's gonna separate them from others, and that's where we come in.
I know you kind of just touched on it a little, but just for everyone listening that this might be new to them, what kind of things do you guys offer? And as far as the Meta Quest VR, if someone already has that as is, could they still buy the different kind of packages you guys have to offer?
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. So we are just an app on a Meta Quest, right? So we're not the headset. We're nothing. We're just an app. And then obviously the adapter for the stick and goalie gloves, you can purchase that as well. And so any MetaQuest 3 and 3S involves the mixed reality for players. So you get the Dangle Pro, or the MetaQuest 2, 3, and 3S for goaltenders is more or less all the same. So really any headset will get you into the system. You just get the added benefit of the Dangle Pro with the updated headsets with the 3 and 3S. And then on the platform, obviously the goaltender platform, everything comes included, like you name it, video drills, mindset stuff, all the animated drills. And then for players, everything is included for the players with the annual. The only difference is the gamer version, the base game is more or less, I think it's just like 7 drills to kind of give you a taste of what the player platform has and the goalie platform has. And then the 3-on-3 full ice, which is actually pretty fun, where you just play the controllers and it's more or less EA Sports, but you are on the ice doing all the action, skating, which is pretty fun. It's my 12-year-old's favorite thing to do. So he's still getting value out of it, right? Like still playing kind of hockey in VR. So
Andrew, I can't thank you enough for coming on. We were so excited to have you because we live in a world, especially now for hockey. Hockey is a 365-day sport. It used to be, yes, I know the value of kids playing other sports. I feel like a tool like this can keep the kids just honing their skills all the time, being able to be better every day. And like you said, players are just trying to get any edge that they can to be a better player. And we can't wait to continuously support you. And more importantly, just keep promoting you guys because, yeah, you're family now. So we'd love to just kind of be aligned with you on everything you guys are doing and growing.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for Andrew joining the show. I mean, just to hear just the progression of VR, but also Sensorina and how much every year it's growing, evolving in different facets of the game. And we talked about it, right, guys? The sport that we play in any sport and literally anything you do is muscle memory. So being able to have a training device like this to be able to train and get those mental reps, it does so much for a player because you're being able to still be in those moments and still
It's huge. I mean, please check them out. We'll have everything linked for them below. Andrew, thank you so much, brother. It was a really fun time. I mean, just all the awesome things that are still developing with Sense, already being the leaders in the technology, and then seeing what you guys are going to bring to the table next is very, very exciting. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, again on a great career and everything that's going on with Sense Arena. And it's just so cool to see, and it's very affordable. And I don't think most people realize that you don't need to have the VR headset that comes with it. You can have a VR headset and buy the subscription, and definitely check them out. And it's awesome.
content coming soon. Me, Logan, and Nolan are going to have our VR headsets. We're going to be on the next episode, and we're just going to be toggling around like a
Be
bunch of
snapping it
hooligans,
around in
snapping
VR.
around to each other, but you won't see it. But we'll put like the footage on. It'll be fun. Boys, this wouldn't even be allowed, not even permitted, without the amazing support of our sponsors, Buddy Hockey Club, Best Damn Tape, DraftKings Sportsbook, and Quench Hydration. I love you guys. Another amazing episode, another amazing week that we're here talking to you guys, being able to just talk about life, everything that's going on. And we appreciate you so much. And we appreciate you guys tuning in and listening.
Love you guys.
Another one for the books. We'll see you on the next one. Love you guys.